Hi, I'm here. Let me tell you a story about a place where sometimes remembering is the worst thing you could do. There was a crossroads deep in the woods where the pavement ended, and a dirt road cut straight through the trees. Locals called it Widowmaker's Bend. Legend had it that when you reached the fork in the path, you had to decide which life you wanted to live. If you turned left, you got whatever you wished for: happiness, wealth, love. But the price was your memory. If you turned right, you'd keep your past, but then you'd be cursed to relive it forever. The first time Noah heard this story, he was 10, and his pa was telling it to him. They were sitting on the porch in the twilight, listening to crickets chirp and frogs croak. Suddenly, a car came barreling down the dirt road, its headlights cutting through the dark. Noah jumped, and his pa put a finger to his lips. "Shh," he said, "here comes a memory seeker." Before Noah could ask what that meant, the car passed them by, splashing mud onto the porch. Its windows were dark, and no one got out. "Do you think he found what he was looking for?" Noah asked, staring after the car. "Only if he wanted to remember," Pa said quietly. A few weeks later, Noah and his pa were sitting on the porch again. Only this time, the air was thick with honeysuckle, and lightning bugs blinked in the dusk. Another car came down the dirt road. This time it was a pickup truck, its tailgate filled with camping gear. As it approached, the porch light flickered and then went out. Noah and his pa sat in silence until the truck stopped at the end of the driveway. A man got out and walked toward them. "I'm looking for the caretaker," the man said. His name was George. He'd come to Widowmaker's Bend because he had a problem remembering things, important things, moments with his kids, his wife's face, his own name. He was desperate to get his life back on track, so he followed the legends, hoping the crossroads could fix him. Noah's pa stood up. "You're talking to him," he said, nodding toward himself. "I'm the caretaker. What can I do for you?" George looked confused. I thought I needed to choose something to give me back my memories." Pa studied George for a moment. "That's not how it works," he said finally. "When you stand at that crossroads, you're given a choice, not to improve your life, but to end it. If you want to die, fine, turn left. If you want to live, turn right. Simple as that." George frowned. "So why does everyone keep coming here?" "Because they don't understand," Pa replied, looking down at his worn boots. "Or they do understand, and they want to die anyway." He gestured to the spot beside him on the steps. "Why don't you sit? Stay a while. You don't have to choose anything tonight." And so George stayed. He sat on the porch swing with Noah while his pa told him stories about trains and tractors and the constellations. George started to relax, to laugh. For the first time in a long time, he forgot about his troubles and simply enjoyed being alive. When the sun came up, he knew he couldn't stay any longer. He thanked the caretaker for everything and walked down the dirt road toward the crossroads. He reached the fork in the path and hesitated. Looking back at the house, he saw Noah at the window waving. He gave George a little shove. "Go on," the boy mouthed. "Go left." He wanted to remember, so George closed his eyes and stepped into the woods. The dirt road stretched before him, winding through ancient trees draped in Spanish moss. At the end, he could hear the rush of a waterfall. George picked up his pace, excitement building. Every step took him farther from the life he once knew. Every breath carried the scent of damp earth and pine needles. Then the trees opened up, and he stood before a clearing. Sunlight poured through the canopy above, illuminating a lake so still and so clear it looked painted on. An old woman sat by the shore, fishing. She wore a gingham dress and a straw hat. She looked up as George approached and smiled. "So you found it," she said. "I knew you would. Come closer. It's time." He hesitated. What? What am I doing?" The old woman chuckled. "Are you afraid?" "Of course I am. Who wouldn't be?" She stood up and beckoned with a gnarled finger. "Come, don't waste the light. Choose what you desire." As he walked toward her, the forest around them shifted. George recognized the trees now. They weren't ancient pines. They were birch trees that lined his childhood street. The clearing was no longer a clearing. It was his backyard. The lake was the pond his father had built for him, and the old woman was his mother. "Mom," he whispered, reaching for her. She looked at him, her eyes brimming with tears. "Don't touch me," she cried. "I'm dangerous." George gasped. Memories flooded him. Moments with his father, his birthday parties, his mother cradling him as he cried. The years fell away, and he was 10 again. He remembered wanting to be brave for his mother, remembering her illness, the doctor's visit, the hollow look in his father's eyes, the day she died. "It's okay," he said, embracing her. "I want to remember all of it." His mother stiffened in his arms. "No, you don't. If you really knew what it was like to remember, you wouldn't choose this." "I don't understand," he said, pulling away. "You don't want to hear the truth," she snapped. "Well, I'll tell you anyway. Remembering doesn't bring back the good times, only the bad. You may remember your 6th birthday party, but you'll also remember the fear that gripped you on the day my hand went cold. You'll remember playing kickball in the rain, but you'll also remember burying me in the backyard." Her voice cracked. "Choose wisely, George. The pain will last longer than the pleasure." Before George could reply, the woods around them rumbled and shook. Trees fell and the ground split open. From the depths, wisps of white smoke rose, tendrils twisting and coiling. His mother screamed and stumbled back. "I warned you," she cried. "This is what you get for choosing to remember." The smoke coalesced into figures. Men, women, children stepped out of the mists, their faces ashen, their eyes hollow. They shuffled forward, silent and still, until they were right before him. "Who are you?" George whispered, backing away. The tallest figure raised a finger to his lips. "Shh," he said. "Listen." From deep in the forest came voices, disembodied and achingly sad. Children crying, a dog barking, a man shouting. The sounds grew louder, more frantic, until they were deafening. Then they stopped. The tallest figure took a step closer. "We're here because we don't want to forget," he said quietly. "Not the good times or the bad. We want to remember everything. And now we can. Because of you." George stared at the figures in horror. He understood now. He hadn't found the crossroads of life and death. He'd found the crossroads of sanity and madness. And he'd chosen madness. When George woke up, he was lying on the porch in the morning light. Pa was nowhere to be seen. Slowly his memories returned, his wife's face, his kids laughing, his own name. All of it washed over him, leaving him weak and trembling. He wanted to find the caretaker, to tell him what he'd learned, but Pa was gone, and the only trace of him was a single, perfectly round footprint in the porch, wood, the print of a bare foot. George stared at it, his heart sinking. He knew then that he wouldn't leave Widowmaker's Bend unchanged, because sometimes forgetting is the kindest thing you can do. Thank you for watching.